everyone, SimsEclaire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are doing another Spooktober build. This time we are doing the house from BeetleJuice. Now I know that this isn't technically like a horror movie, however when you do Google iconic scary movie houses, this one is like one of the first to show up, that in the Conjuring house. And honestly, when I was building this, I wasn't watching a scary movie, I think I was watching The Notebook, so I was not in the mood to sit there and actually like thumb through my phone and find pictures of the Conjuring house. I kind of just was like, oh, we'll do BeetleJuice. I just watched this the other day because it was on TV. I can't remember what channel it was on, but I did just watch this the other day, and I decided to go ahead and do this. It is kind of from memory. I had a couple of reference pictures, but I couldn't find it online anywhere. Like, I couldn't find the movie anywhere, so I couldn't like go through the movie and find different scenes with the house in it and kind of make it, I don't know, more realistic. I really tried though. I did a little bit of a mix on this one though. So the Poltergeist house, if you remember, if you watched that video, if not, I will link it somewhere. But I did it pre-Poltergeist because post-Poltergeist the house is absolutely destroyed. But this one I kind of did it like in between, because the storyline of BeetleJuice, if you haven't seen it, is that the Maitland family dies in an accident and they don't really realize that they're dead at first, and then they start to like slowly come to terms with it, and then this family moves into their home called the Deetzes, and they have a daughter, Lydia, and then I can't remember the parents' names, they're totally escaping me, but basically they move into their house and the Maitlands really don't like them, so because they try and like redo the whole house, so they call this guy called BeetleJuice, and he claims that he can get rid of humans, but really he's just like this really nasty, awful person, and so they accidentally invite him into their home, but eventually it all works out in the end. But because halfway through the movie, it's not even really halfway through, it's like 30 minutes into the movie, the whole house kind of changes, but then at the end they get to change it back. I was trying to figure out what part of the movie I wanted to base this house off of. Now obviously the iconic structure of the house is pre-Deetz's moving in, so I did the exterior pre-Deetz's as though the Maitlands still lived here. But then on the interior, I kind of did a bit of a mix because we have quite a few iconic scenes in the movie that it's post Deetz's moving in, but then there's also quite a few where it's pre. So I kind of tried to like pick the scene so what I did was I went room by room, and I was like, in the movie, per my memory, when you see this room, is it pre or post Deetz's moving in? And whatever scene popped into my head first, I went with that decoration scheme for that room of the house. So when we first go in, you'll see the living room is pre-Deetz's, because even though that's where, you know, towards the climax of the movie, that's where Lydia gets married, the first scene that always pops into my head when I think of the living room is when Mrs. Maitland is picking up one of her horse sculptures, and she's like trying to like show her husband that they don't appear in the mirror anymore, because she picks up the horse sculpture and they're in front of their large fireplace and there's a mirror above their fireplace, and she picks up the horse sculpture and she starts moving it in front of the mirror to show that her hand doesn't show up in the mirror with the horse sculpture. So that's always the scene that I remember, and obviously that's pre-Deetz's. So that's kind of how I themed this, so I hope you guys don't mind. Now when I upload this to the gallery, I did mention it in the description that it's half and half, so if it does really bother you, I left like pretty much pre-Deetz's. All of the wallpapers are exactly the same except for in the bedrooms, they are different, but so pretty much you could just copy and paste like all the other wallpapers and decorations if you wanted to switch everything back around. Or same thing for post Deetz's, the wallpaper in the living room is pretty much the stone that they used or they painted the rest of the house to look like as well, so you could just start putting that all around the house. But I thought it was kind of cool to do like a little bit of a mix, because movies like this, there's always major changes that affect the plot, and it's really hard to convey those if you're just building a house. So I thought it was kind of nice to kind of do like a half and half, because as I said, there are quite a few iconic scenes it for each of the timelines of this house. So I don't know, that's kind of just what I was thinking. But now we're on into the interior. I totally rambled over the entire exterior, and I was looking through a picture of this house, obviously, and it was like an angle from up top the stairs, and there's like this little alcove over to the left, and you can see a table, but you can't see anything on the table. So I decided, because when I was doing the exterior, I did end up with this little alcove area here, I did decide just to clutter out this table a little bit, because this kind of goes with the pre-Deetz's living room, because this area is connected to the living room. There's no wall separating it, so I decided just to go with that. And also in this picture, the picture that I was using as a reference for this room, you can see there's a painting of some flowers and then also a radiator right next to the front door. So I did just add those two pictures, or that picture and the radiator right there. And then you can also see in the picture, now this is from when the Deetzes move in. There's like a foyer that's disconnected. Well, it's connected to the house, but you like go in through the front door, and then there's this closed off foyer, and then there's a grand entrance, and then that's what leads you into the actual house. So I kind of built like a little outside, like a little square to show that foyer. I didn't decorate it though, because they never show us what it looks like, and I'm pretty sure when the Deetzes move in, they actually end up knocking down that wall. So, because I don't even remember it post Deetz's when they bring the house back to how the Maitlands decorated it. But going into the living room, as I said, I definitely remember this room as being like a old traditional style, and I was looking up pictures of it, and it was the scene right after they died and they came home and were trying to warm themselves up by the fire. So I kind of got a decent picture of what the living room furniture looked like. It was very traditional, very beigey and wood tones, so I decided just to go with cats and dogs furniture. And then you saw there I put some cat statues. We don't have horse statues except for the horse sculpture that you can build with the woodworking bench, so I decided just to do mini cat sculptures. I figured that was okay, instead of trying to, find all, like, doing the same horse sculpture over and over again, because we only have that one. I thought doing different colors of cats would be okay, and I don't know, I think it kind of worked. And then over here, there wasn't a whole lot of views of this hallway, so I just kind of put a couple of pictures up and a lamp and kind of just made it match the rest of the house. There were a lot of different angles of this house that we didn't actually get to see, so I was trying to fill up the space as best as I possibly could, and I'm pretty sure that there are a couple walls here and there that are a little off. The upstairs is the one that's the most off, because I did the entire exterior and I really liked how it looked. I didn't want to change it, and then I went upstairs and it didn't look like there was enough room for all of the bedrooms. And the bedrooms are so weirdly laid out. Like, I'll talk more about it when I get upstairs, but I was sitting there and I'm like, what is this house? So the upstairs is probably the most deviant from how the movie actually looks, but I tried. I really did. But I'm throwing in a couple of different clutter items. I use a couple of the nifty knitting stuff, because even though they never say that she knits, she has a lot of fabric, and they're in the process of redoing their house, so she has like a whole bunch of wallpaper around, and they have like a craft and an arts and crafts like thing in their basement, and then he does his modeling upstairs in his attic, so I figured that they were definitely arts and craftsy people, so that's why I went ahead and gave them some of the nifty knitting stuff. And then going into here, this is the dining room. So this is one of the rooms that I did decide looked better or had more iconic scenes post Deetz's. So the scene, obviously, I'm sure you've all seen it, even if you haven't seen the movie, is the scene where they're all sitting at the table and the Maitlands possess them to start singing, I don't remember the name of the song, but it's, it's like the you know what I'm talking about. You know the song. You've all seen the movie. And then, like, the shrimp, like, turns into hands and then, like, grabs their faces. Like, that's the most iconic scene I think of. In fact, I don't even think we saw the dining room pre-Deetz's. So that's what I went with. And obviously behind the dining room table, Miss Deetz or Mrs. Deetz has all of her sculptures that she's made behind like a window. So I went ahead and added a couple of sculptures back there just to give it that effect. And not to mention, I had this extra space because I needed to make the back of the house larger to accommodate the upstairs bedrooms. So I had all this extra space. And then going into the kitchen here, you can see I kind of changed the color of the walls back there. I ended up changing them again, but the kitchen was really weird. All of the pictures I could find, when I googled BeetleJuice kitchen, to the right side you had angles of when the Maitlands lived there, and it was this really nice light blue and white counters and very country-esque, and you had those pictures, but then right next to them were all of the stark dark pictures of the Deetz's kitchen, and you never saw the same angle for each like time period. So I kind of just went with a mix matched here, and I do this left side and the back more like the Deetz's kitchen, and then towards the front I do it as though the Maitlands still lived there, because I figured if they were in the middle of remodeling, maybe they hadn't quite finished. So I went ahead and just did this room half and half, because there's the scene where Mrs. Deetz is sitting and cooking dinner for all of their friends from the city, and Lydia comes in to tell her about the ghost, and she doesn't really believe her, and she's sitting there prepping in the kitchen. So that's like the main view of the kitchen you get post Deetz's. But then in the beginning of the movie, Mrs. Maitland is in the kitchen. I think she's doing the dishes. Honestly, I don't remember, but her friend comes in, and she's like trying to usher her out the back door because they're on quote-unquote vacation, and that's like the only time you see their kitchen pre-Deetz's. So yeah, so I kind of just did this kitchen half and half, and then over here you never see this angle of the kitchen. I assumed that there was an entryway from the dining room into the kitchen, because this is a very open floor planned house, so I assumed that I could put a door there. And then I also added a couple of extra counters just to fill in a little bit of the space, and I tried to make this corner look more modern, because that's definitely what the Deetz's family taste was. And they have a whole bunch of plants everywhere. There's this big bouquet of like red roses sitting on the counter in the shot with Lydia and her mother, so I decided to put that red plant there. And then after that, we're going down into the basement. So if we're being honest, I can't actually remember if their house has a basement. I specifically remember a scene of which Mr. Maitland was downstairs in a basement, and then he ran upstairs into the kitchen to answer the phone. However, I couldn't find that scene anywhere. Like, I couldn't find it on YouTube. I couldn't find pictures of the basement. So now I'm wondering if I was just mistaken, and maybe he was upstairs and he came running downstairs, but I could have sworn he was in a basement. So I built a basement anyway, and I just put a couple of different skill building items down here. I think I put the flower arranging table and then also the woodworking table, because as I said, he has his little diagram upstairs, or his model upstairs of the entire town, and he doesn't have any, like, he has some stuff upstairs that he has to work on it, but he doesn't have a lot of equipment upstairs, so I figured he had to have somewhere to put it, which was my justification that I was not mistaken with the fact that there was a basement. But now we're going on into the upstairs, and I decided to do Lydia's bedroom, because you do see a bit of Lydia's bedroom when she's writing that note to her parents, and when she's, wallowing in all her self-pity. So I decided to go ahead and do Lydia's bedroom and then the Maitland's bedroom. I do not do the Deetz's family bedroom, because you don't really see a lot of that one. You see like one scene where they're like sleeping and they have their giant TV in front of the bed, but that's pretty much all you see. So I decided to stick with just Lydia's bedroom and then the Maitland's bedroom. But Lydia's bedroom's actually pretty cool. She just has this dark, and I initially did black, but I do end up changing it to purple, because in the second picture I found, it looked more purple than it did black. So she has this purple wallpaper and this green flooring, and then a giant purple bed that she kind of like angles in the corner next to the one window in her room. And then she has this giant lamp like hanging over her bed. So that's why I put that lamp post behind her bed, because I thought that it matched the lamp that she had the best. And then she has this lightwood dresser, so I went ahead and did that get-together dresser. And I was trying to figure out something else to put in her room, but she really doesn't have that much decorations in her room. And I think it kind of just goes, well, A, they had just moved in, but B, I think it just goes to show kind of like how she is. She doesn't really think about material stuff like that all that much. And then I left the bathroom pre-Deetz's, because so this is what I was talking about, how this layout of this upstairs is so weird. So in the movie, when the Deetz's move in, they go around and they spray paint different colors on the walls to try and get a feel for how they're going to redo the rooms. And all of the rooms are connected. So they go into the first room, which ends up being Lydia's. And they go in there and they talk about painting it purple, painting it mauve, and all that stuff. And then they walk through a door into the bathroom. So I have a connecting piece to the bathroom here. They show this gorgeous, like very traditional style bathroom. And then they walk through a door in the bathroom to get into the Maitland's family, the master bedroom. So the master bedroom is connected to the kids' room by the bathroom. But wait, there's more. They go through another door in the master bedroom that connects them into the office. So the office is connected to the main bedroom, and the main bedroom is connected to the bathroom, which is connected to the kids' bedroom. But all of these also have doors to get into the hallway. So I was struggling very much on how to get this floor plan to work so that all these rooms actually also led to the hallway. You could see I kind of gave the master bedroom like a little teeny tiny little like their own hallway. You can see it here because I needed some way to connect that room to the front, and I just couldn't figure it out. And then I had to extend the office because the office was like this little teeny tiny rectangle and it couldn't fit everything. And the office is pretty important because the dad, Mr. Deetz, he decides, like, his wife is going around trying to change everything in the house, trying to make it her own. And he decides that he's not going to let her touch this room because he came to the country to relax, and that's what he was going to do. So he wanted to leave it the way it was because he found it more relaxing in the classic traditional style. So I wanted to make sure I had enough room to do this office justice. So I had to switch around quite a few things and make a couple more hallways than what are actually in the movie. But like I said, I tried. It was just really hard. The upstairs floor planning was super weird. And I'm also pretty sure that the attic is on the same side of the house as the office. So I think technically I flipped the sides of the house that the attic are on. But whenever I tried in The Sims, the roofing's really weird. So whenever I tried to put the attic on this side of the house, it was clipping through the roofing. And then if I tried to change the position of the roofing, the outside of the house didn't look like it did in the pictures. So I decided that for aesthetics' sake, in terms of making sure the outside looked most accurate to the pictures and what the house actually looked like, I was going to keep the attic on the opposite side. And it still works. Like, it's fully functioning. I had a really awful time trying to keep the stairs from glitching out because I have them, like, turned in weird angles. And I kept, like, every time I would add a new wall, they would delete the stairs because for some reason the Sims do that. But I finally got it to work, and I even added the little window that they have from the top of the stairs, and then there's like another door. So there's a door to get onto the stairs to the attic, and then when you go up the stairs there's a window, and then to the left there's another door. So I was able to add all of that, plus this table. So in the attic is where the ghosts of the Maitland spend most of their time, and the Mr. Maitland has an entire 2-scale model of the town that they live in. And so I found these tables. They're from Eco Lifestyle, and they have the green top, so I thought that worked with the grass that he has. And then I tried to shrink down debug houses to get them, like, to situate them on the table and put them into, like, a little town. And, like, I was determined I was going to get them to work, but they didn't shrink down enough, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. We don't have any, like, model homes or stuff like that in the game, which I think would be kind of cool if, like, we got another arts and craft pack and they gave us the option for that. So I just took these wooden piles and placed them all around, kind of trying to make them look like landmarks the best that I could. It's not my best work, but it was the most that I could do. And then I was going to add a door here, but I decided against it because they draw their own door and we don't have chalk doors, so I decided to leave it. And then I also, towards the end, I add a couch because there is a couch up here. You see Mrs. Maitland sitting on it every once in a while. And then I also add some curtains because they're in the process of redoing their house, so they have a whole bunch of drapes and everything covering up, like, their old wallpapers. But besides that, that is it for this video, so I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!